on a lighter note, actually, many of folks have reached out to me and told me, you and Dijotamji look like brothers. Like, you have some resemblance. I don't know if anybody has told you. As I was trying to reflect earlier today and I was trying to prepare, actually a thought came to my mind. I'm sure, that question may relate to many of us here on the call. Like, what does a KO president do? Or rather, what should a KO president do? Or more specifically, what are my expectations, from the next KOA president? And like many of you have known me personally as a zonal director, and my hope is through the dialogue today, you have a better pulse of what I bring to the table. Quick background about where I come from. I'll talk about how I got it associated, and how I have been contributing to the community work, and what I'm really passionate about. What are my key aspirations for the community, and what's my operating model. I grew up in Srinagar. I spent my early childhood at our ancestral home in Safakadal. I went to Bisco school, and the Bay Area was like homecoming. Cave is such a beautiful vehicle to get engaged. 2019, I would say, was sort of the pivotal moment in that sense that Article 370 was abrogated, right? And I felt sort of a personal responsibility to change that. So I became more involved. I became sort of even more sort of vocal in the sense in the way I express things through my creative outlets. And then 2020 was when my community members saw the passion in me, and they were sort of, I was lucky enough to be blessed to serve as the zonal director for Zone 9. COVID situation hit. I was instrumental in devising programs which can be run virtually, be it kid sessions, like, we did 50 plus kid sections, started with a zone, but they were expanded across the US. I was instrumental in conceptualizing the first virtual camp. Many of you may remember playing interzone Antakshari on Zoom, or doing the Abba Hanjura show virtually. So it took a lot of effort from a lot of volunteers. I was lucky enough to be there at that point and be part of the leadership team to think out of the box. Then 2021, I mean, the second wave of COVID hit back in India. I think it was, again, a very pivotal moment for me as a community volunteer. Say that my contribution to that was I was sort of instrumental in putting together the portal, the COVID portal, brought that visibility into how those funds are getting distributed, and also helped us raise a lot of money. But in general, as a board member, I've been engaged in the sense that, for example, Jantri project has been very close to my part, US-based Jantri. And again, I'm no expert in that topic. The whole point is, are you open to new ideas? Are you ready to learn? And I'm always willing to learn new things, new concepts. And once I understood, okay, there is merit to it, I championed it with the board. Now, coming back to the key theme, okay, this is all past, what is my aspiration, how do I envision to take our community forward. Three sort of strategic themes that I really feel passionate about it. Now, whether these can be accomplished in 2 years, I can tell you no. These are quite ambitious goals, but can we start working towards it? Probably yes. I know we have done phenomenal job over the last 40 years, and hats off to all the volunteers, unnamed leaders who have not been holding any titles or posts. I mean, this KOA has been driven by thousands of hours of volunteers work, and obviously the people who have been in the leadership position. So amazing job already done. What transformationally can we do now here in the United States to retain that? Rekindling our ties back to the ancestral homeland, Kashmir. I think it's equally important, aspect, because we are holding on to the old memories. It's the high time we create new memories, especially with our kids. And the last point is, what more can we do in a holistic way so that it's been 34 years, our kids are still growing up in those migrant camps. I mean, it'll be by another 16 years, 50 years of our exodus. So what transformationally can we do in a holistic way to address our community, which is still stuck in this membership? Is a very relevant question. I'll tell you a funny thing about this whole membership. You think election chivan, log gasan active, and they are surprised to figure out, hey, timchine memory. I think there is some low-hanging fruit in terms of what we can do from improving our systems, right? Whether it's through sending reminders or setting up auto pays. But I would go one level deeper, like, in terms of sort of flipping the way we operate. And I think that's where A lot of shakeup needs to happen. Can we flip it in the sense, if this becomes more of a bottoms up organization, there needs to be a structural change which sort of takes KOA to the grassroots. Automatically you will see the engagement. Automatically you will see people more engaged through their volunteering, more engaged through their support for fundraising, more engaged eventually through paid membership. So I think all of the above has to be put on the table to sort of expand the reach. And I've talked about different programs which let's meet the members where they are, and we have an evolving sort of persona of members, more youth, who have different needs and aspirations, and the way to engage them may be different from our elder generation. So I think we need to evolve our programs which are more tuned to the changing membership personas we have. So I think everything needs to be on the table to make it. And there was a point about these different camps and people creating separate organizations. I mean, if you see, that's one of the things in my core operating model. I think let's welcome if people are passionate about certain things. I mean, let's not hold that, hey, KOA is going to solve everything for our community, right? I mean, we all are in corporate. There is a partnership aspect. So if there is a particular set of group which is passionate about something, let them do it. We have a handful of volunteers. We don't need to reinvent everything, but instead we can have strategic partnerships. But also this reflects that you know maybe there is lot more that we can do through these programs. There are so many like-minded people who want to contribute. There are people outside of our community, so that we can do more by expanding our network. I mean, our KP community, how many of us are here? Like, we few thousands, but can we reach out to the broader Indian community to make these programs much more impactful? And we can probably touch lot many more lives than what we can do today. If you look at our website, it can definitely be refreshed, right? Look at our membership data. Every election, we struggle with the data quality of our membership. So these are something very tangible things. But I also feel very passionate about taking more ambitious goals collectively as a community. See, I think we have all done great in life. We've built personal assets. I think it's high time that we start thinking about building true community assets here in the United States, with which we can feel and touch. So, why not sort of have an ambitious goal of building a Kashmir themed temple, for example, or a community center? I mean, we remember Lalita Aditya because Martand still exists, right? So, if we have to survive and retain our culture here in the United States for the next 100 years, why not start thinking about some of more ambitious projects? And I'll tell you, it may be something in Kashmir themed center, but I've seen so much positive energy from the rest of the Indian community who really want to help and support of something, a project of that nature, which will be sort of a center of identity for us here in the United States. But honestly, if you ask me what I see my role as a KOA president is actually way beyond that, what I can potentially do, in terms of the time, in terms of the money. I don't think, even if a KOA president is 24/7 dedicated to KOA causes, and he puts half of his salary towards the fundraising efforts, it's really going to move the needle for our community in the terms of the aspirational goals that at least I feel that we need to start working on. I think where the magic will really happen, how KOA president can become an enabler to have a much more broader community engagement in terms of activating hundreds and thousands of volunteers across these programs. And that's where the magic will happen. Like, I, am i am I able to inspire the next generation? Am I able to inspire people who are not engaged? Am I able to build trust? Am I able to be viewed as somebody who is truly non-partisan, right? Where I think the biggest struggle that I sometimes feel is that trust deficit that we built right within our community, but your factions gets on and whatnot. So I think all of those things are much more relevant than what I personally can do. I mean, obviously, I'll give my blood and sweat, but will that move the needle? Probably not. To be creative about how we sponsor some of these youth-led initiatives. See, we need to understand. See, KOA doesn't have a revenue stream in itself, right? I mean, so I but we can get creative about through corporate sponsorships, or maybe create a KP-led tourism. Maybe that becomes an avenue to sort of subsidize some of these. The way I'm looking at youth's involvement is, how can we embed youth in the core of KOA flagship programs? I talk about this concept about youth driven. So that's where I would pivot a little bit. Yes, we need to do a lot more based keeping youth's interest, and obviously I would want to start a dialogue. If I am elected president, hey, what's more relevant to you? But I also feel that youth has to be embedded as part of the flagship KOA program. So, Kashmiri language, I would say I'm very passionate about it. I try to write a little bit here and there, and it's extremely hard just to go classes and retain a Koshurbi contest. And that really motivated kids across zones to sort of, take interest. And there was some competitive juices around it. Can we start a Koshur debate? Right? Just as an example. So I think it has to be a holistic approach. And I would say it goes just beyond the kids. I mean, I think we need to start educating parents, what we can do collectively as a community to sort of retain our language. So I think it is a holistic approach, and I agree it has to be sort of more streamlined, in the sense we have limited volunteer resources. So we need to align our efforts so that there is no duplication, but at the same time, it needs to be a holistic approach how we can preserve. First of all, totally acknowledge the what we need to do to expand the achievement awards. And I'll be honest and candid. I mean, the amount of participation that we have currently is not that great. Like we give 3 awards, and the total participants are like 9. So first and foremost, I think we need to do a better job in terms of how we sort of expand these awards, in the sense that there is more participation. Acknowledge the fact that we have not printed KOA directory for a long time. And again, I think there are pros and cons for both. One, obviously it gets outdated the moment you print it, but if there is an strong desire, we can potentially explore it. But also, I think there is an aspect which is increasingly out there about the privacy. I mean, I'm already feeling so overwhelmed with the amount of love and encouragement I've received from my community. So I already feel like a winner, right? So, but I think what I really feel strongly about is, I mean, this is not my aspiration, or this is not my manifesto, or this is not my goals, right? I mean, where I really feel strongly about, hey, can some of these, and these are actually community aspirations, which I have sort of felt through my engagement for the last five years. So can we sort of put together right structures? Can we have the right systems in place so that this is truly our shared vision, and we all come together? Actually, I wrote some statement, Pansas very prani resin chess patim panada when kya watha kuni krak dimho yin beira kahan ka kurmutsrevit kuni razbanuk when kya wakat a when kya wakata. That will be my ultimate goal. Thank you.